Not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
This is Dr. Paula Hedgelon from Hedgelon Chiropractic Center. We've been serving Pompano Beach for over 35 years, and I'd love to be your chiropractor. It's easy to get started, beginning with a chiropractic exam and x-rays. Then we look for the cause, and we perform a specific, gentle chiropractic adjustment. Find out if we can help you. Call today.
Call Hedgelon Chiropractic Center at 954-946-1799.
Agent Michelle Amron specializes in Medicare health insurance plans for those under 65. Amron Insurance offers plans with most major insurance companies, names that you know and trust. From understanding and comparing all of your options to finding what plan is best for you, Michelle Amron will help you apply for low-income insurance assistance if you qualify. Contact Michelle today at 561-308-0293 to schedule a call, virtual meeting, or in person to answer any questions. Let Michelle Amron Insurance help you navigate through all of your available options. 561-308-0293.
Hi, welcome to Touched by Angel Live. I'm your host, Angel Kinssies. My passion is to inspire seniors, bring solutions to their everyday needs, and bring the generations together. Enjoy the show. Good evening. Welcome tonight to another Touched by Angel Live. And tonight I am especially happy and very honored to introduce my guest tonight, who's going to be talking about a very important subject right now. It's a subject that's really prevalent in our society. We're going to be talking about dementia, all the aspects of dementia. And you may say, well, that's not for me, but you know what? It's for everyone to understand, because you may know someone that is either dealing with it or a caregiver. If you're a caregiver caring for parents or a spouse or a loved one, or you may have a friend that knows, or just to have this information for you to know for future. It's good for everyone to know. So I'm honored tonight to introduce somebody very special. She's been my daughter-in-law for 35 years. Woo, I'm getting all, what's that word? Verklempt, yeah. And so she is a senior living advisor. So she places seniors in facilities and helps them with all their needs. So I want to introduce my daughter-in-law, Laura Kinssies.
Thank you
Welcome.
very much. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So tonight we're going to talk about dementia, and Laura's got a few things that she wants to bring to our attention and to educate you. And her number will be given so that if you have any questions and you want to call her, please feel free to call her and ask her anything you need to know. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is dementia and what are the first signs.
Okay, well, it is the decline of cognitive function resulting in short-term memory loss. And about a third of all people over the age of 85 have some form of it. Oh. So that's why it's important to know about it. When I get the call of people looking to place a loved one into memory care, the red flags that they're calling me about are one of these three. Usually they say, gee, my mother was driving and she got lost, and she was in a familiar area. She shouldn't have gotten lost. Or mom forgot to pay the mortgage for 6 months. You know, they forgot to pay a bill. Or they get financially taken advantage of. Someone scams them out of money. And that's usually when the kids call me and say, you know, I think that there's a problem here. And they can simply have their loved one go to a doctor, whether it's a neurologist, and some primary care physicians can do it too, and perform a very simple cognitive test. Many of them use what's called the slums test, which stands for St. Louis University Mental Status Exam. It's a 30-point test. If you score 20 or below, they give you the diagnosis of dementia.
Now, what about somebody that's younger, that's maybe in their 50s or 60s, and you know, they forget, we all forget. You know, I don't want everybody to think, oh, I got dementia because I forgot where I was going. I mean, we forget our keys. There's things that we forget. That doesn't mean you have dementia.
There's a difference between knowing you forgot something and not knowing you forgot something.
Right.
Do you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
Absolutely, exactly. Yes.
And there's many forms of dementia, many types. And also, there's a few causes, too, that we're aware of, some preventable. So I'd like to hit on those a little bit.
Sure.
Like one of the ones that is preventable is prolonged alcohol abuse. That can cause dementia, and that's 100% preventable.
Wow.
Strokes, head injury, certain medications, Parkinson's, many times memory issues come right alongside Parkinson's, especially advanced Parkinson's. Infection, severe sleep apnea, even malnutrition, believe it or not. So there are many things that can cause it. And if you think in terms of what might cause inflammation on the brain, that's something that could potentially cause dementia.
So a lot of seniors fall. And so you're saying that if they have a head injury, that could even be the onset to something like that. So that's why it's important to have good balance and stay healthy and eat right and get good sleep. All of that is important.
Yes, and if you're already forgetful, you may forget you took your blood pressure medicine and take it twice. And then when your blood pressure drops, I used to work in a hospital for a little while, people would come in because they fell, and usually it's because they took their blood pressure medicine twice, their blood pressure dropped, and they collapsed and hurt themselves. So, you know, medicine management is very important for someone with memory issues.
Sure. And a lot of times the family doesn't even know that they're having problems because they're not going to tell their loved ones, you know, they don't know that they forgot to take their medication.
Well,
and we're not talking about old people. This could happen really at any age, right?
Yeah. And they're real good at the surface talk. They just can't necessarily go deep. But there are certain things to look for. Like if you were to see some of these things, you might want to ask yourself, gee, should I have my mom tested or dad tested for dementia? And I personally went through this with my own father. So I'm not just a senior living advisor. I took care of my dad along with my husband, your son, and my sister. It took 3 of us to take care of him. So I have a lot of personal experience with this. But I could tell you a little bit about some of the behaviors that if you see some of these, you might want to think twice.
Absolutely. And also this is going to be a lot of help if you are a caregiver. Laura's going to go over some of the important things that you need to know as a person dealing with that. Or maybe you have a friend that you think, oh, maybe she's kind of forgetting a lot. And they may be asking you questions. So she's going to go over some of that, how you could deal with that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the behaviors to look for or just be aware of, be cognizant. Because if it isn't someone in your family, it just might be someone you run into, you know, when you're out and about. And it's just good to be educated so you're familiar. So one of the behaviors is sundowning. And sundowning is basically when your circadian rhythm, your internal clock is off, and a person confuses day for night. They might actually wake up in the middle of the night and think it's dinner time. So that's called sundowning. My father had it really bad, and he would get up like 10 times a night. So it could really wear out a caregiver. Exit seeking, that's when people, they'll be in their own home and they'll say, I want to go home. I really want to get out of here. And I've read through a lot of resources where that's the mind's way of saying, I want things to go back to the way they were when I could think clearly, which I think is very interesting, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why many of the memory care communities are locked communities. They're secured for their safety because many of them will just walk out, and that's not safe for them. Being easily agitated, hallucinating. Now, if someone hallucinates, you don't just directly go to dementia. It could be a urinary tract infection, so you would have them checked out. Social inappropriateness, physical aggression, fixating on a topic. I'll give you an example. My father, he was a mathematical genius, and he would get fixated on taxes. Are they done? Every 5 minutes he would ask me about the taxes ad nauseum. And so, I realized that that's one of the signs too. Repetitive questions. And another thing I noticed with him was that his memory over time, it progressively got shorter and shorter and shorter, to the point where every time I entered the room, I had to introduce myself. I had to say, "Hi, Dad, it's me, your daughter, Laura," because eventually he didn't know who I was. And obviously a change in personality. They're not the same person that they once were. So you can't expect them to be.
And it sounds like the person that has it really isn't even aware. So it's harder for the person dealing with that person, because you see the change and it's hard to know how to treat them, how to answer their questions, how to just deal with their everyday needs. It's harder for the caregiver. If you're not even a caregiver, if you're just around a friend maybe, you don't know how to handle it. You don't know what to do. So
Right. I kind of created an acronym to help people out. CAR, C-A-R. Never correct, never argue, and don't even think about reasoning with them, because it's as though you're reasoning with a 5-year-old.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense. When I put my father in memory care, as I was leaving one night, I looked around and I saw the saints that were taking care of my dad and the others, and I said, "How do you do this? How do you do this day in and day out?" Because for me it was very difficult. And she said, "I just go along with them on the journey of whatever's going on in their head at the moment."
Yeah.
And I thought, that is a good way to deal with someone who thinks they're in Vietnam, or thinks they're, it's 1925 or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Just agree with them. Don't ever correct them or argue with them.
Yeah, there's no sense in it. You'll just create an argument.
More frustration.
Right, right. And there are a few things that can make dementia worse, by the way, like an injury or an illness, change, and continued abuse of alcohol. There are certain things that can exacerbate it, quite frankly.
Now, one question that I have is, people are probably going to think, is it hereditary?
A small percentage can be, not as big as you think.
So it's not really genetic, it's more like environment?
It can be genetic, but there is a percentage, but it's a small percentage that's genetic. It's more environmental.
It's more of your environment,
Yeah.
your diet, your stress,
Right.
your eating habits,
Yeah.
just your
Anything
lifestyle,
that can cause
drinking.
inflammation on the brain can cause
Yeah.
dementia.
Yeah, that's why it's so important. And you know that I'm a senior instructor, fitness instructor, and I'm always encouraging my students to make sure they eat right, make sure they sleep, make sure they have interaction and socialization, drink a lot of water, exercise, just have a positive attitude, stay positive. All that is so healthy for your brain. So, it's very interesting. It makes me think about how you had to deal with that for 2 years with your dad. It's not easy, because I remember my grandmother had a stroke, and when I came into the room, she was like 86. She lived to be 93. She didn't know who I was, and I just lost it. I couldn't handle it, because she raised me. She was like my mom. And the doctor said, don't worry, we caught it in time. And then the next day she knew me. So they caught it in time. So if you do have a stroke, or you know anybody that's had a stroke, you have a 24-hour period to deal with that, right? So to get to the hospital or the doctor, and
Yeah, they can give you some medicine for
Right away,
strokes within
yeah.
a certain amount of time that
Right.
should be able to help. And
yeah.
I think the first 3 months are probably the most important when it comes to recovery from strokes. But anyways, there's people might want to know when is the right time to place someone in memory care and how much does it cost. And I would say if someone lives alone and they pose a threat to themselves or others, and let me give you an example. Many people say, oh, my grandma, she's not a threat to others. But if she'll leave a stove on or a heater on next to shoes that are melting, like someone that you know, and she lived in a
Could burn the
skyrise
whole
apartment,
building down.
yes, absolutely, you could be a threat
Yeah.
to somebody else. You forget a candle is on, for instance. That's not a good thing either. Or when caregivers lose patience and they begin to resent the person that they're caring for. You don't want to remember the person in a resentful kind of light.
Yeah.
That's psychologically not good for you. It's not healthy.
Right.
And also when there's a risk of emotional or bodily harm to the caregiver.
Yeah, because sometimes they could get physically.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, because we had an adult family home, and we had a gentleman that came in, and he definitely had some form of anger, and he was biting and cursing, and we had to let him go. The family didn't tell us they had taken him out of another facility, so it was just horrifying to watch it, you know, and to see the family go through it. I think it's definitely harder on the family, because I think a lot of children or people that are taking care of their loved ones, you tend to be in denial because it's painful, you know, it's hard to admit it, that they need the help, but they really do. They're better off in a facility.
Yeah,
and the facilities today are beautiful. Some of them
Yeah,
are just,
they're
you know, they're not like
wonderful.
nursing homes like people knew years ago.
Yeah, and there's two suggestions that I would have. Make sure that they have a power of attorney signed for medical and financial, so that when they're cognitively not there, you know, someone can pay the bills for them, someone can make decisions for them.
That you can trust.
Also, don't rush to a diagnosis if you're looking into long-term care insurance, because once you get the diagnosis of dementia, it's going to be nearly impossible to get it. So, you know, look into the long-term care insurance if you're starting to see, you know, a little bit of memory loss. And oftentimes people worry about the cost of it. It really does start at about $4,000 a month plus care, and there are some things that can help pay for it. For instance, if someone is a veteran and they were enlisted during wartime, they could get up to $2,050 a month towards care, and that works for home care or in assisted living or memory care.
And that's for also a wife of someone that was in,
True.
or a husband. So if,
Yes.
even your husband passed away and he was in the service, you could get that much towards your care.
Yes, there's some
a lot of
caveats,
people don't know about that.
though. There's
Yeah.
some caveats, like you can't have more than $138,000 aside from your house and car. If you are the spouse of a wartime veteran, you could get up to $1,300 a month. You have to qualify and apply.
Yeah. So there's help out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
You wanted to go over some
Resources?
some of the
Yeah,
resources
there's
I
a
wanted you
really
to-
good book I recommend highly called The 36-Hour Day. And it's by Dr. Nancy Mace and Dr. Rabins, and it explains the different phases that you go through, because of course there's early onset and then it goes all the way through end of life. So I think it's a really good, useful book because it gives you tools like what you can do to help with sundowning, for instance. They would say, have the person spend 45 minutes a day in the sun, that it will help their circadian rhythm, their internal clock, kind of set
so
that
they
this
know
is
it's
day.
daytime.
Exactly.
But if they're in a facility and they're in the dark all day, they're not going to know the difference. So they really need to get out. So there's some good information there.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have it up on the screen. However, on the radio, they don't see that. So if you could give
The book is called The 36-Hour Day. You can pick it up on Amazon for like $13. The next one I want to tell you about is a wonderful geropsychologist. Her name is Dr. Natalie Edmonds, and she's on YouTube. If you look up, one of her videos is called 5 Signs. It's kind of gives you an idea of when a loved one should place another, like their spouse, into memory care. It has them look at the whole picture, like how is it affecting you? Yeah. I kind of liken it to when you get on an airplane, if you didn't have oxygen, you know how they tell you put your own mask on first. And then the mask of your children? Yeah. I look at it like that. So
you have to
if
take
you're
care of
worn
yourself.
out, if you're stressed out from getting up all night, what good are you to anybody, really?
Exactly. Right.
The person needs care.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then the third resource is Patriot Angels. You can reach out to them because they can help you apply for the VA benefit. And you don't want to leave that money on the table. If they've earned it, if they qualify, they should go for it because it helps every month.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you know, it's a subject that's very touchy. People don't want to talk about it. They really don't want to know about it. You know, there's things that you could get tested for to find out if you're prone to breast cancer or cancer or whatever. And a lot of people feel like, I want to know, and some people feel like they don't want to know. So it is a touchy subject. However, I felt it was important enough to bring it out and talk about it because we do live in a senior community. And, you know, we're at the age now where, you know, all the baby boomers are getting to that age where they're either caring for their mother or they could become ill. You know, I mean, we've been stuck in the house for two and a half years with COVID, and it's still not over. So there's a lot of changes in our life. So I really thought this was a very important topic, and I want to thank you, Laura, for all your information. And if you want to give your phone number, you could give your phone number.
I think they're going to put it on the screen.
I don't think it was on. They didn't have it on, so let's give it out.
Oh, 623-428-2494. And if you have a loved one that cannot be left alone, or they need a lot of coaching to do things, like this way to the dining hall or the dining room, this way to the restroom, then it might be time to place them in memory care.
Or just give Laura a call and talk about it. There's no pressure or anything. Again, give your number out again.
Yeah, we're a free service. You can call me 623-428-2494. I'll be happy to help you.
Thank you again, Laura. And I just want to let you know that my next show is going to be December 15th, and I'm so happy that we're going to be talking about healing relationships. You know, I've been a hairdresser for a long time, and I meet a lot of people, and also a senior fitness instructor. I talk to a lot of families that have broken families, broken relationships, and at this time of the year, at the holidays, it's very difficult to have one of your children or friends or whatever broken in your friendship. And so we're going to talk about that in 2 more weeks on the 15th with Dr. Paula Hedgelon. She's going to be here as my special guest. So tune in at 7:30 on December 15th. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show. God bless you, and have a merry, everybody have happy holidays, whatever holiday you're celebrating. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
This is Dr. Paula Hedgelon from Hedgelon Chiropractic Center. We've been serving Pompano Beach for over 35 years, and I'd love to be your chiropractor. It's easy to get started, beginning with a chiropractic exam and x-rays. Then we look for the cause, and we perform a specific, gentle chiropractic adjustment. Find out if we can help you. Call today.
Call Hedgelon Chiropractic Center at 954-946-1799.
Agent Michelle Amron specializes in Medicare health insurance plans for those under 65. Amron Insurance offers plans with most major insurance companies, names that you know and trust. From understanding and comparing all of your options to finding what plan is best for you, Michelle Amron will help you apply for low-income insurance assistance if you qualify. Contact Michelle today at 561-308-0293 to schedule a call, virtual meeting, or in person to answer any questions. Let Michelle Amron Insurance help you navigate through all of your available options. 561-308-0293.
Thank you for watching Touched by Angel Live. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you love. Have a wonderful day.